What's up YouTube? Floorman Knives here with a really exciting video. Gonna do a brief overview of this Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive Benchmade Bugout with these OD Green G10 handle skills. And what I'm really excited about, the CPM M4 blade. This is my first blade with CPM M4 steel. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cover that right away actually. This is DLC coated, or actually Cerakoted, my apologies there, used a spider coat, but there is a gray option available. I just like the black. But my one delay with M4 steel has always been that it patinas. It is not a true stainless steel. And I live in Florida, very close to the ocean. Now, I don't use all of my knives for saltwater purposes, if you will, of course. I mean, I've got spider coat salt models for that, but I just have always been a little bit nervous of, spending that much money on a knife with M4 steel and, not wanting to worry about having to treat it. So really excited about this being coated. Very excited to see also how it holds up over time compared to something like the DLC coating from Spyderco. But let's get into it. Now it does come in this Benchmade box with a nice bag here. And you can see the Bugout Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive 535 BK 2101 CPM M4 steel. We just drop it right on the knife there, but fantastic knife. I'm just so excited about this. It really exceeds my expectations of the Bugout. I mean, I do get the hype around it. I have not owned one before, and I see why everybody has them. I mean, they're fantastic. I don't have any gripes really about Gribery scales and the fact that you can squeeze them together. This one, it being G10, I mean, maybe just a small bit of flex, but I know that's the biggest complaint with the Bugout, and that was something they did to really help reduce the weight, keep it under 2 ounces. And that doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't hard use all of my knives. I've got specific ones for that purpose. So, I personally would be more concerned about the Omega springs, for example, on the Bugout, but that's just me. Now, love this deep carry pocket clip, the shortened deep carry pocket clip. One of the things that I think everyone should introduce, if possible, on their knives, all brands. I mean, we all love deep carry, and generally speaking, it's a little bit better if it doesn't present itself too much. So that's just at least my opinion, but of course you got a lanyard hole here and the axis lock from Benchmade. Now I do want to note, when I first got it, this thing was crazy sticky. I mean, it didn't want to drop at all, but I did not loosen it, did not put any lube in here at all. I just have been working with it, and I'd say, I don't know, if I had to guess, maybe 30 flicks in, it started to get a little bit drop shutty. I probably, about after 100 flicks, it really started moving smoothly. And of course, as I have it longer, it'll just get more and more smooth. Now, I do want to compare it quickly to a couple of other knives. First one being the Doug Ritter design Hogue Mini RSK. This is fantastic in 20 CV steel with this purple Damascus. Another comparison, it's going to be the Spyderco Delica. Now you can see it's a little bit more comparable to the Delica in length, but with the Bugout you're going to get much more cutting edge, and that's one thing that I really like about it. Some people really focus on cutting edge to handle ratio, or I'll admit that's really not my primary concern on most of my knives. I mean, I'm a huge fan of finger choils, and another comparable knife here being the Para 3 lightweight. But, I like the fact that there's diversity in the knife world, and you can pick and choose there. I mean, the ergonomics on this are fantastic. No hot spots. I do wear an extra large size glove, but that's typically because of the length of my fingers. It's very, very slim. Going to be excellent in the pocket. I mean, this is by far the slimmest folding knife I have, other than, maybe like a Victorinox Classic, but super lightweight, super compact. I really am pleased with the Bugout, I have to admit, and really excited to see how the M4 steel holds up over time. You know, you got your overall length on this is going to be 7.46 inches. Your blade length is going to be 3.24 inches. And with that, you're going to get a pretty substantial cutting edge of, I mean, definitely over 3 inches. So can't complain there. Handle length, you can see right here, you're going to be at about 4.22. Handle thickness, I mean, what thickness, right? You know, you compare it to the Para 3, which is not a thick knife at all, and it is just so much slimmer. Now, that might be a negative for some people. I will admit, when I first handled it, I was, you know, definitely caught off guard, or not caught off guard per se, but I'm just not used to a knife this thin. But that is not a bad thing. In the pocket, it is phenomenal. I mean, you don't even feel that it's there. It honestly disappears just as well as my Dragonfly 2 does. I know it weighs, you know, a fair bit more. It's actually a little bit more comparable to the Delica lightweight as far as the weight goes. But just to confirm on the weight, let's see what it actually comes in at on my scale. So it's going to be coming in at 2.26 ounces. Now, it was listed at 2.22 on the website, but my scale, of course, says slightly differently. Not that it makes a big difference, but as I addressed, this is a Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive with these OD Green G10 handle scales. Now, I did want to address the G10 on this. I mean, you can see it's got texturing, that diamond grid, but it's not, it's really not that grippy. It's a very smooth G10. I mean, really some of the smoothest G10 I've handled. You know, I'm not necessarily complaining about that, but if you're used to something like a Paramilitary 2 or Para 3 G10, I mean, this is much grippier. Of course, this is the DLT Trading exclusive in S9EV, also with OD Green handle scales. Beautiful to compare that to it, but definitely not as grippy. And then if you want to go more to the extreme, depending on where you feel it, the Hogue Mini RSK just has a really grippy G10. And I'll do another separate review video on this knife, but just wanted to, you know, point that out. If you're expecting this to, you know, really latch on your fingers like the G10 of a Para would, you're just not going to get that. So a couple of other things to note. It does have black oxide liners as well to match. Also black oxide hardware, as you can see, which really looks nice on this knife. Big fan when all the hardware matches, of course. Black anodized barrel spacers for this thumb stud opening. And then the mini deep carry pocket clip is also a black oxide finish. But I'll definitely be doing a long-term review video on this knife. Maybe some comparisons with the Para 3. Here's a quick color comparison. I don't know, I'm a huge fan of that color combination, of course, so I think it looks fantastic. I will note that the black Cerakote on the Bugout is definitely more of a true black color than a DLC coating on a Spyderco is. It's got a little bit more of a almost satin finish to it. And you got this real nice thin blade. Blade thickness is just 0.09 inches right there. Which, again, when you compare it to something like the Spyderco Para 3, I mean, it's just night and day. But, you know, some people might view that as a serious con to this knife. You know, I'm not going to be batoning with this or anything too crazy, you know, just your typical EDC tasks, opening boxes, packages, whatnot. I mean, it's going to do its job just fine, I think, for my purposes. And with the CPM M4 steel, I mean, it's going to not need to be sharpened very often, of course. Should be pretty easy to sharpen as well, relatively speaking, compared to something like S110B. But, and I'm really not going to be concerned about it patinaing or having to oil it with this coating. Just so excited about this knife. It's fantastic. Don't know if they're still available. I forgot to check before I started making this video, but if they are, I highly recommend you pick one up, whether it be the black coated version or the gray. I mean, it's definitely going to be a little bit pricier, coming in at around $220. So yay, another super expensive knife that maybe you're paying the premium for that butterfly right there, but with M4 steel, I'm okay with paying that premium. So I think it's a decent value for what you're getting. I would say it's not overpriced compared to the regular Bugout, which in my opinion is, with S30V steel. But man, I'm loving this knife. The more and more I handle it, the more I look at it. I've only had it for about a week now. Carried it probably half of the days through then, and then of course just fidgeted with it all throughout. And got a little bit of internal jimping right there on the liners. No jimping right here, which, you know, with my handle, or my fingers, excuse me, my grip, I really kind of end up more here on the knife. You know, I'm used to a Spyderco thumb ramp, so when I don't have that, I definitely come down further on it, which I'm not going to complain about. And I also like to really get up tight on my knives when I'm opening up packages, and this will be fantastic for that. Wow, just blown away by this, honestly. Fantastic knife. I love the color combination, of course. So what else is there to say besides that? But check out my Spyderco Paramilitary 2 video if you haven't already. Definitely another beautiful knife if you like this color combination. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching.